Hey, Tom, welcome back.
Hey, Emily. Okay.
Today, we're going to practice English in a situation that almost every traveler needs at some point. And honestly, it can feel a little uncomfortable when you're standing at a hotel reception desk and suddenly someone starts asking you questions in English.
Absolutely, Emily. You may know plenty of English words, but when the receptionist says, "Could I have your passport, please?" and then immediately asks another question, your brain can suddenly decide to take a vacation before you do.
That's actually true. You can understand English perfectly when you're sitting comfortably at home, but when you're standing at a hotel after a long trip with a suitcase in one hand and your phone in the other, everything can feel different.
And that's exactly why today's lesson is going to be practical. We're not going to study a long list of hotel vocabulary and expect you to memorize everything.
Instead, we're going to follow a realistic hotel experience from beginning to end. And Tom and I will show you the kind of English you can actually use when you're traveling.
We'll start with something very simple, arriving at the hotel and checking in.
Then we'll move into situations where you need to ask questions, explain a problem, request something from the hotel staff, and finally, check out.
So if you're planning to travel soon, this episode can help you prepare before you arrive at the hotel.
And even if you're not traveling right now, it's still useful English because hotel conversations include many everyday expressions that you can use in other situations too.
For example, one of the first things you may need to say is, "Hi, I have a reservation under the name Tom."
That's a very natural way to tell the receptionist that you've already booked a room.
And the receptionist might reply, "Sure, could I see your passport, please?"
Then you can simply say, "Of course, here you are."
Easy.
Very easy. But these are the sentences you want to know before you arrive, because you don't want to stand there trying to translate everything in your head.
Exactly. You want the words to come naturally.
And today, we're going to practice them through a conversation, not just by looking at isolated sentences.
That's important because real conversations don't happen one sentence at a time.
Right. The receptionist asks you something, you answer, then they ask another question, and sometimes you need to ask them something too.
And sometimes you don't understand what they said.
Which is completely normal.
You can say, "Sorry, could you say that again, please?"
Or if they are speaking too quickly, you can politely say, "Could you speak a little more slowly, please?"
That's much better than just smiling and saying yes when you have absolutely no idea what they said.
Exactly. That's how people end up agreeing to things they never understood.
Imagine the receptionist asks, "Would you like to add breakfast to your reservation?"
And you say, "Yes."
Then you later discover that you accidentally ordered breakfast for the entire week.
That would be an expensive yes.
So today's lesson is also about listening carefully and asking questions when you need clarification.
And we're going to keep the English simple and natural because the goal isn't to sound like a textbook.
The goal is to sound like a normal person who can communicate clearly.
Exactly.
Let's imagine that we're traveling in another country.
Okay.
We've just arrived at the airport, taken a taxi to our hotel, and now we're standing in front of the reception desk with our luggage.
And we're both tired after a long journey.
Very tired.
Especially you.
Why especially me?
Because you spent the whole flight watching movies instead of sleeping.
That's not my fault. The movie was really good.
And now you're going to complain that you're tired.
I didn't say anything.
You didn't have to. Your face said it.
Fair enough.
So we walk up to the reception desk, smile, and greet the receptionist.
We don't need to be nervous.
Right. We can simply say, "Hi, we have a reservation."
The receptionist may ask, "What name is the reservation under?"
Then we give the name.
It's under Tom Anderson.
The receptionist checks the computer and confirms the booking.
Then they may ask for our passports or identification.
We give them the documents and wait.
After that, the receptionist may explain the room information, breakfast time, Wi-Fi, checkout time, and other hotel services.
That's where listening becomes important.
Because there can be a lot of information at once.
Exactly. If you don't remember something, you can ask again.
For example, what time is breakfast?
Or what time is checkout?
Or could you tell me the Wi-Fi password, please?
Those are all simple questions, but they are extremely useful.
And sometimes you may want to know whether breakfast is included.
You can ask, "Is breakfast included in the room rate?"
That's a very useful sentence.
Yes, especially because you don't want to assume breakfast is free.
I once assumed breakfast was included, and then I discovered it wasn't.
What did you order?
Let's just say I was very hungry.
That's not an answer.
It was enough food for a small family.
Okay, so today's lesson might also save our learners some money.
That's a good reason to keep listening.
Another important thing is asking for help politely.
Instead of saying, give me another towel, you can say, could I get an extra towel, please?
Exactly. It sounds much more polite and natural.
And if something isn't working in your room, don't just sit there and hope it magically fixes itself.
You can call reception and explain the problem.
For example, hi, the air conditioner in my room isn't working. Could someone take a look at it?
That's a very realistic hotel situation.
And we'll practice more situations like that later.
But first, we're going to focus on the beginning of the hotel experience.
Arriving at the hotel.
Finding the reception desk.
Checking the reservation.
Showing your passport.
Getting your room key.
Asking about breakfast.
Asking about Wi-Fi.
And making sure you understand the important information before going to your room.
So if you're ready, let's stop talking about the hotel and actually walk inside.
Good idea.
My suitcase is already waiting for the elevator.
Your suitcase has more energy than you do.
That's because my suitcase didn't stay awake watching movies on the plane.
Okay, Tom, let's check in before you fall asleep at the reception desk.
Deal.
All right, everyone, let's begin our first realistic hotel conversation.
Emily, this hotel looks really nice, and I'm glad we finally made it here because my suitcase feels heavier every time I move it.
I know what you mean, but let's not complain yet. We should find the reception desk and check in first.
I can see it over there, next to the lobby.
Great. Let's walk over and talk to the receptionist.
Before we go, let's make sure we have everything ready.
Good idea. We have our passports, booking information, and phones.
And our luggage.
Obviously.
You never know. Maybe someone will ask us for proof that we actually brought luggage.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, let's go.
Good evening. We'd like to check in, please.
That's a simple and natural way to begin.
The receptionist may respond, "Of course. Do you have a reservation?"
Then we can say, yes, we do. We have a reservation under the name Tom Anderson.
Notice the phrase, under the name.
Right. When a hotel asks what name the reservation is under, they're asking for the name used when the booking was made.
Exactly.
The receptionist checks the computer and says, yes, I found your reservation. May I see your passports, please?
We can answer, "Certainly. Here you are."
Then we hand over our passports.
The receptionist may ask, "How many nights will you be staying with us?"
We can answer, we'll be staying for 4 nights.
That's another useful pattern. We'll be staying for.
For example, we'll be staying for 3 nights or we'll be staying for a week.
Exactly.
The receptionist is checking the booking details now.
And they might say, "I have you booked for a double room for 4 nights. Is that correct?"
Then we can say, yes, that's correct.
But what if something is wrong with the reservation?
Then we should explain it immediately.
For example, if we booked a twin room instead of a double room, we could say, "I'm sorry, but I believe we booked a twin room."
That's much better than simply saying, that's wrong.
Yes, the phrase "I believe" can make the correction sound polite.
The receptionist may then check the booking again and correct the information if necessary.
This is another important lesson for travelers. Always check the details before accepting the room.
Room type, number of nights, breakfast, and anything else included in your booking.
Exactly.
The receptionist might ask, would you like to add breakfast to your reservation?
If we want breakfast, we can say, "Yes, please. How much does it cost per person?"
And if we don't want it?
We can say, "No, thank you. We'll have breakfast somewhere else."
Very natural.
And if you're not sure whether breakfast is already included, ask, "Is breakfast included in the room rate?"
That's one of the sentences I would definitely remember.
Me too.
Everything looks correct, so the receptionist gives us our room key.
They might say, "You're in room 508. Here's your key card."
And we can say thank you.
The receptionist may continue with some important information.
Such as, breakfast is served from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the 2nd floor.
And if we want to make sure we remember, we can ask, "Sorry, what time does breakfast start?"
The receptionist says, breakfast starts at 7 a.m.
Then we can say, "Great, thank you."
They may also say checkout is at 11 a.m.
And we can ask, "Is there a late checkout option?"
That's useful if your flight is late in the afternoon.
Exactly.
The receptionist might answer, late checkout is available for an additional fee depending on availability.
Then we know that we can ask about it later.
What about Wi-Fi?
That's probably one of the first things many travelers want to know.
Especially you.
Why me?
Because you always ask for the Wi-Fi password before you even put your luggage down.
That's because I need to message my family and let them know I've arrived safely.
Fair enough.
So we can ask, could you tell me the Wi-Fi password, please?
The receptionist may say the Wi-Fi network is called Hotel Guest and the password is written on your key card holder.
Then we can simply say, perfect, thank you. Now we have our key card, but we need to find the room.
The receptionist may say, your room is on the 5th floor. Take the elevator to the 5th floor and turn left when you get off.
That's a lot of information.
If we want to make sure we understood, we can repeat it.
So 5th floor, then turn left after the elevator, is that right?
Exactly.
And the receptionist says, that's right.
Now we know exactly where to go.
What if we can't find the elevator?
We can ask, excuse me, where are the elevators?
That's much better than wandering around the lobby with your suitcase.
Exactly.
Let's imagine we find the elevator, go up to the 5th floor, and finally find room 508.
We use the key card and open the door.
The room looks great.
Everything seems fine.
Bed, bathroom, towels, desk, television, and air conditioner.
And hopefully the Wi-Fi works.
That's the first thing you're checking.
Of course.
Now we have our key card, but we need to find the room.
The receptionist may say, your room is on the 5th floor. Take the elevator to the 5th floor and turn left when you get off.
That's a lot of information.
If we want to make sure we understood, we can repeat it.
So 5th floor, then turn left after the elevator, is that right?
Exactly.
And the receptionist says, that's right.
Now we know exactly where to go.
What if we can't find the elevator?
We can ask, excuse me, where are the elevators?
That's much better than wandering around the lobby with your suitcase.
Exactly.
Let's imagine we find the elevator, go up to the 5th floor, and finally find room 508.
We use the key card and open the door.
The room looks great.
Everything seems fine.
Bed, bathroom, towels, desk, television, and air conditioner.
And hopefully the Wi-Fi works.
That's the first thing you're checking.
Of course.
Before we go upstairs, there's one more useful situation.
What if we need something from the hotel?
For example, an extra towel.
We can call reception and say, hi, could I get an extra towel for room 508, please?
The receptionist might say, certainly, we'll send one up shortly.
And we can reply, thank you, I appreciate it.
Or maybe you need another pillow.
Then you can say, could I get an extra pillow, please?
What if you need an iron?
Could I borrow an iron, please?
Very useful.
Yes, these are simple requests that you may actually need during a hotel stay.
And notice how often we're using could I?
That's because it's a very useful and polite structure for asking for something.
You can use it for many things.
Could I get an extra towel, please?
Could I have another key card, please?
Could I get some help with my luggage, please?
Could I check out a little later?
Exactly.
Let's put everything together now and imagine the entire check-in conversation from beginning to end.
Good idea.
Good evening. We'd like to check in, please. We have a reservation under the name Tom Anderson.
Of course. May I see your passports, please?
Certainly. Here you are.
Thank you. I have you booked for a double room for 4 nights. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Is breakfast included in the room rate?
Yes, breakfast is included. It's served from 7 to 10 a.m. on the 2nd floor.
Great. And could you tell us the Wi-Fi password, please?
The network is called Hotel Guest, and the password is written on your key card holder.
Perfect. And what time is checkout?
Checkout is at 11 a.m.
Great. Thank you for your help.
You're very welcome. Your room is on the 5th floor, room 508.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Enjoy your stay.
And that's it.
A complete hotel check-in conversation without using complicated English.
Exactly. You just need to know what information you need and how to ask for it clearly.
And remember, if the receptionist says something you don't understand, don't pretend you understand.
Ask them to repeat it.
If you need something, ask politely.
And if something about your reservation is incorrect, explain the problem calmly.
That's how you handle real conversations.
And now that we've checked in, I think it's time to put our bags in the room.
I agree.
And after that,
We can finally relax.
good, because my suitcase and I have had a very long day.
Your suitcase is probably more tired than you are.
I think you're right.
All right, everyone.
We'll continue our hotel experience and practice what to say when you need hotel services or when something goes wrong in your room.
We'll deal with realistic situations like a broken air conditioner, weak Wi-Fi, missing towels, asking about breakfast, laundry, room service, and other everyday hotel problems.
So don't go anywhere.
Keep listening, keep repeating, and we'll continue our hotel English journey.
Tom, I can't believe it's already our last morning at the hotel. It feels like we just arrived yesterday, but now we're getting ready to check out and continue our trip.
I know. Before we leave the room, I think we should check everything carefully because forgetting something in a hotel room is much easier than people think.
You're right. Let's check the bathroom, the closet, the desk, and the area near the bed. I always check the charging outlets because that's where I usually find something I forgot.
I remember last year you left your phone charger in a hotel room and didn't realize it until you were already at the airport.
Exactly, and I don't want to make the same mistake again. Okay, I think we have everything, so let's take our bags downstairs and check out.
Good morning. We'd like to check out, please.
The receptionist will probably ask, "Certainly, may I have your room number, please?"
Then we can say, we're staying in room 508.
That's simple, but it's important to speak clearly because the receptionist needs the correct room number before checking our account.
The receptionist might then say, thank you, let me check your account. Please give me a moment.
At that point, we don't need to say anything complicated. We can simply say, "Sure, take your time."
I like that expression because it sounds natural and polite.
Yes, and while the receptionist is checking the account, we should pay attention to the information they give us. They may tell us the total amount, any additional charges, or something that was added during our stay.
The receptionist says, your total is $320.
Before paying, I would like to check the bill, so I can say, "Could I see the bill, please?"
That's a very useful sentence because you shouldn't be afraid to ask about a charge that you don't understand.
Exactly. If the bill includes something unexpected, you can politely ask, "Excuse me, could you explain this charge, please?"
Imagine the receptionist says, that's the room service charge from last night.
If we remember ordering room service, then we can simply say, "Oh, yes, that's correct. Thank you for explaining."
But what if we didn't order room service?
Then we should calmly explain that. We can say, "I'm sorry, but I don't think we ordered room service last night. Could you please check that again?"
That's much better than saying, you charged me by mistake.
Exactly. When you're traveling, problems can happen, but the way you explain a problem can make the conversation much easier.
The receptionist checks the record again and realizes that the charge belongs to another room.
Then they might say, "I'm sorry about that. You're right. I'll remove the charge from your bill."
And we can say, thank you for checking that for me.
Notice that we didn't need difficult English to solve the problem. We just explained what we noticed and asked them to check it.
Now let's say the bill is correct, and the receptionist asks, how would you like to pay?
"I'd like to pay by credit card, please."
Or if you prefer cash, you can say, can I pay in cash?
After making the payment, I would also ask for a receipt.
You can say, could I have a receipt, please?
That's especially useful if you need to keep a record of your travel expenses.
Now we've paid, but our flight isn't until this evening, so we still have several hours before we need to go to the airport.
That's a common situation for travelers. You have checked out, but you don't want to walk around the city with 2 heavy suitcases.
So we can ask the receptionist, could you store our luggage for a few hours, please?
The receptionist may say, "Of course, we can keep your luggage at the front desk until you return."
Then we might want to ask, is there a charge for storing the luggage?
That's a practical question because some hotels offer this service for free, while others may have different policies.
The receptionist says, no, there's no charge.
Great. Then we can say, "That's very helpful. We'll come back around 5 o'clock to pick up our bags."
Now that our luggage is taken care of, we need to think about getting to the airport.
This is another situation where useful English can make your trip much easier. Instead of searching everywhere on your phone, you can simply ask the hotel staff for advice.
For example, could you recommend the best way to get to the airport?
The receptionist might say, "You can take a taxi. It usually takes about 30 minutes, depending on traffic."
Then we can ask, could you call a taxi for us, please?
The receptionist may ask, "What time would you like the taxi?"
We can say, could we have a taxi at 5:30, please?
And because we have large suitcases, we might ask, "Will there be enough room for 2 large suitcases?"
That's a very realistic question. There's no point in ordering a tiny taxi and then discovering that your luggage has to sit on your lap.
Exactly. I've seen people trying to fit huge suitcases into a very small car. It becomes a puzzle nobody asked for.
The receptionist says, don't worry, I'll request a larger taxi for you.
Then we can say, "Thank you. I really appreciate your help."
Emily, there's something else I want to mention. What happens if we realize after checking out that we've left something in the room?
That's actually very realistic. If you notice it before leaving the hotel, go back to reception and explain clearly what you lost.
For example, excuse me, I think I left my headphones in room 508. Could you please check with housekeeping?
That's a great sentence. You don't need to explain a long story. Just say what you think you left and where you think you left it.
And if you're not sure where you lost it, you can say, I think I may have left it in the room, but I'm not completely sure.
That's useful because you're being honest about what you know instead of pretending you're certain.
The receptionist may contact housekeeping and check the room.
If they find your item, you can ask, could someone bring it to the front desk, please?
And if they don't find it immediately, don't panic. You can leave your contact information and ask the hotel to contact you if they find it later.
Exactly. Travel doesn't always go perfectly, and that's normal. What matters is knowing how to communicate when something unexpected happens.
That's actually one of the biggest lessons from this whole hotel experience.
Yes, hotel English isn't only about saying, I have a reservation.
It's also about asking questions, checking information, explaining problems, and finding solutions.
And you don't need to speak perfect English to do any of those things.
You just need to make your meaning clear.
For example, if your room has a problem, you don't need a complicated explanation. You can say, the air conditioner isn't working. Could someone help me?
If you need another towel, say, could I get an extra towel, please?
If you don't understand a charge, say, could you explain this charge, please?
If you need a taxi, say, could you call a taxi for me, please?
And if you don't understand what someone says, don't just smile and say yes.
That's dangerous.
Very dangerous. Imagine the receptionist asks, would you like to pay an additional fee for late checkout? And you say yes, because you didn't understand.
Then you discover the extra charge later.
Exactly. Instead, say, sorry, could you say that again, please? Or could you explain what you mean?
Those sentences can save you from a lot of confusion.
And that's why practicing realistic conversations is so useful. You are not just learning vocabulary, you're learning what to say when something actually happens.
Let's imagine we've finished everything now. We've checked out, paid the bill, received our receipt, stored our luggage, and arranged a taxi.
We can finally relax for a few hours before going to the airport.
But before we leave the hotel completely, I think we should say thank you to the receptionist.
Definitely. We can say, thank you for your help. We really enjoyed our stay.
That's a simple and friendly way to finish the conversation.
The receptionist might say, you're very welcome. Have a safe trip.
And we can reply, thank you. Have a great day.
That's it. We don't need a complicated ending.
Simple, clear, polite English is enough.
And that's what I want our learners to remember from today's conversation. When you travel, don't wait until you know perfect English before you try to speak.
Because if you wait for perfect English, you may wait forever.
Instead, learn the useful phrases you need for real situations and practice saying them naturally.
When you arrive at a hotel, know how to say, I'd like to check in, please.
When you need something, know how to say, could I get an extra towel, please?
When you don't understand something, know how to say, could you explain that, please?
When you check out, know how to say, we'd like to check out, please.
And when you need help getting to the airport, know how to ask, could you recommend the best way to get there?
These sentences are simple, but they give you a starting point for a real conversation.
And once the conversation starts, you can listen, respond, ask another question, and continue step by step.
That's how communication really works.
You don't need to say everything perfectly.
You just need to keep the conversation moving.
You don't need to say everything perfectly.
You just need to keep the conversation moving.
And if you make a mistake?
Correct it and continue.
If you don't understand?
Ask again.
If you need help?
Ask politely.
And if someone helps you?
Say thank you.
That's practical English.
Exactly, and that's the kind of English we want you to practice.
So, Emily, I think our hotel stay is finally over.
Yes, and our taxi should be arriving soon.
Wait, did you remember everything this time?
Passport, phone, wallet, charger, luggage, and hotel receipt.
Good.
What about you?
I have everything.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Check your coffee.
You're right, I almost forgot it.
I knew it.
Okay, now we're really ready to go.
Great. Let's head to the airport.
And everyone, don't forget to practice these conversations before your next trip.
The more you practice simple English in realistic situations, the easier it becomes to speak when you actually need it.
You don't have to sound perfect.
Just speak clearly, ask questions, and don't be afraid to communicate.
That's what confidence really means when you're traveling.
And now, let's go before our taxi leaves without us.
Good point. Let's go.
See you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.